Imagine waking up to the sounds of the Venetian lagoon. You know, the gentle lapping of water, gulls crying overhead. Picture this charming island, Pellestrina. Postcard stuff, really.
Mm.
Fresh seafood, fishermen who've been there for generations.
Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It does, but then imagine that piece just shattering, a huge explosion in the pre-dawn quiet. And then you realize, oh, this wasn't some accident. This was a double murder.
And that's exactly where we're starting today. We're taking a deep dive in some really fascinating source material, all centered around Donna Leon's novel, A Sea of Troubles.
All right.
Our goal here is to sort of navigate the story, pull out some surprising insights, not just about the crime, but about community, loyalty,
All right.
and maybe the hidden environmental costs of what people do in these beautiful but very fragile places.
Yeah, it's amazing how something that looks like a straightforward tragedy just spirals. It becomes this complex web. You'll see how family feuds, damage to the lagoon, this intense code of silence, it all forces you to ask big questions about justice, loyalty.
So let's jump right in.
Yeah. Pellestrina in summer. It sounds idyllic. Tourists coming over from Venice, Chioggia. You mentioned the fresh seafood, that crisp white wine, and these unique pretzels. Bussalai instead of bread.
Yeah, exactly. It paints a very specific picture, doesn't it? Very appealing.
But that's the surface. Underneath, you've got the year-round reality for the clam fishermen, the Vongolari.
That's right. Their boats, Concordia, Serena, Assunta, great names. They're built tough for clam dredging. And their methods, well, they're traditional, sure, passed down for ages, but honestly, they can be pretty destructive.
Oh, so?
They use these big rectangular metal scoops, think heavy-duty chicken wire.
Yeah.
They basically ram them into the seabed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just tear everything up to get the clams. It's harsh, but it's how they make their living. It's their whole world.
A tough world. And it was one of their boats, the squallish Giulio Bottin's boat, that was at the center of this whole thing. Can you walk us through that morning, that pre-dawn scene?
Yeah, sure. It's about 3:30 a.m., early May. Still dark. A small fire starts, probably in the cabin of the Squalus. It creeps along the floor, then up the wooden sides. Hits a teak control panel. Teak burns slow, but hot. Right. Then it reaches softer woods, and boom, it spreads fast. Burns right through the deck. Flaming bits drop into the engine room below.
And there's oil down there.
Exactly. Oil damp rags. They ignite. And then the fire moves, almost elegantly, people described it, towards the fuel line. Melts a bit of solder, opens a gap, flame gets into the pipe.
And that's what led to the explosion.
That's it. That chain reaction, the fuel tanks go up, a huge glaring light, then this massive thud. People heard it way over in Chioggia, apparently.
Incredible. Fire on the water, in the dark. Must have been terrifying.
Absolutely. Witnesses saw the boat just engulfed in this thick, oily smoke. The water eventually put out the main fire, but not before it spread. Other boats caught fire, even wooden benches on the shore.
What did people do? The community?
Oh, it was a mix. Some boat owners further off quickly started their engines, backed away.
Yeah.
Smart move. Others grabbed fire extinguishers, tried to put out the flames on the boats that weren't too bad. You had maybe 100 people gathered, shouting, shock, confusion.
And then someone asks the crucial question.
Right. Chiara Patulli, Bottin's next-door neighbor. She just asked, "Where's Giulio?" Silence falls.
And his son, Marco.
Exactly. Someone else pipes up. And Marco. He was 18, already part owner with his dad. Their boat, the Squalus, just wreckage at the bottom of the harbor, masts sticking out at this crazy angle.
It's such a tragedy. But you said people went back to work.
Yeah, that's the striking thing. Pragmatism, maybe? As the sun came up, the crowd thinned out. Bottin and his son were dead, sure, but...
Yeah.
Well, no reason to miss a day's clamming. The season's short. Got to make the most of it.
That's quite something. And then Sergeant Vianello arrives, the divers go down, and the initial findings, they're grim.
Very grim. Giulio with a crushed skull. Marco, that the report said, gutted by a knife.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So straight away, it's clear. This isn't just a fire, not just an accident. It's murder.
And that realization must have sent shockwaves in a tight-knit place like Pellestrina, knowing it was murder. What secrets does that kind of violence force to the surface? Or maybe bury deeper?
Well, that leads us right into the big challenge for Brunetti and Vianello. This code of silence on the island. The Pellestrina, they just wouldn't talk.
Really? Completely shut down?
Pretty much. I mean, they'd answer a direct question, yes or no, but zero extra detail. No extraneous information, no gossip, nothing. It was like this unspoken vow made the investigation incredibly hard, especially about Giulio Bottin. Suddenly, nobody could remember anything about him.
Like he barely existed. That's serious wall to hit. So how does Brunetti even start? He relies on his team, right? Signorina Elettra, you mentioned her. Effortless omniscience.
Yes. She's brilliant. And she has this insight into the background stuff, like the rivalry, the bad blood between the Chioggia fishermen and the Venetian ones. It's historical, but it's gotten worse. Dwindling catches, closed lagoon areas.
Yeah.
It's gone from fights to, as she puts it, cold blood murder.
And Bottin himself, did he have a history?
A bit murky. Known to the Carabinieri, yeah. Bar fights, some incident with a boat once, but never charged. Lack of evidence, or maybe witnesses just wouldn't talk, even back then.
Protecting their own, or the status quo.
Exactly. It's that insular community thing. You handle things internally, or you just don't handle them, legally speaking.
And then there's the police pilot, Bonsuan. He has a very different take on the Vongolari. He calls them hyenas, vultures. That's strong language.
Incredibly strong. And it comes from a real conviction. He sees the environmental damage firsthand, accuses them of tearing up the breeding beds with those dredges, fishing illegally in polluted waters near Porto Marghera.
And he connects it to people's health.
He does. He talks about his daughter, the doctor. She has a patient with a rare lung cancer, likely from work, but the patient just denies it, refuses to see the connection. It's like people block out inconvenient truths if it threatens their livelihood.
Economic survival trumping health concerns.
Bonsuan sums it up chillingly. He tells Brunetti, basically, this whole situation, it's too big for you and it's too big for us. He sees it as this systemic problem, way beyond just catching a killer.
Wow. It really paints a picture of how these local loyalties, the economic pressure, it shapes everything. Their own rules matter more than the law. And telling the truth, especially if it implicates the community or affects their health, the cost seems too high.
You've got it. It's a different kind of truth they live by, driven by survival. Breaking ranks is almost unthinkable.
So faced with this wall, Brunetti gets creative. He needs eyes and ears inside.
Precisely. Standard methods won't work. So he sends Puccetti, a younger officer, undercover, posing as a waiter in the local restaurant.
Clever. And Signorina Elettra.
She goes too, but more informally. Officially, she's on vacation, visiting a cousin who lives there. Unofficially, she's gathering intel. It's definitely not by the book.
An unorthodox team for an unorthodox situation. Which brings us to Luisa Fellini, the general store owner. She sounds like quite a character. A complicated past.
Very complicated. History of prostitution, drug addiction. She's had plastic surgery, trying to sort of reclaim her youth. And crucially, her family has this long-running feud with the Bottins.
So she might talk. What does she add?
She adds a really important nuance. She suggests Giulio Bottin wasn't disliked just for being rough or violent. That was almost accepted, you know?
Right.
No, he was disliked because he acted against his own kind for his own personal gain. That crosses a line in Pellestrina. Betraying the collective is the real sin there.
That's fascinating. So breaking the community code is worse than breaking the actual law.
In their eyes, absolutely. Meanwhile, Elettra's on the island doing her thing, and she meets someone, Carlo Targhetta, handsome fisherman.
And there's a connection?
Yes. It grows.
Yeah.
They share picnics, find this hidden cave by a jail. Sounds quite romantic, actually. But it gets intimate, physical, which, given her mission,
is dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous, especially when you find out who he really is.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. The bombshell drops. Carlo Targhetta wasn't always just a fisherman. He used to be in the Guardia di Finanza, the tax police.
No way.
Yes. And he was kicked out, dismissed for tampering with evidence in a big tax evasion case.
Okay, wait. Whose case?
Get this. The case involved Vittorio Spadini, Carlo's uncle.
His uncle. Wow. The plot thickens.
Thickens dramatically because Brunetti gets hold of this anonymous tape recording.
Yeah.
And it confirms that Giulio Bottin, the murder victim, was the one who denounced Spadini, reported him for massive undeclared clam sales. Millions of lire hidden from the taxman.
So the murders, Spadini's tax evasion, Bottin being the informant, it's all connected. Organized crime within the fishing world. And Elettra is right in the middle of it, getting close to the nephew of the prime suspect.
Directly in the line of fire.
Yeah.
Suddenly, her connection to Carlo isn't just compromising, it's potentially lethal.
That is an incredible twist. It just goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How personal feelings, that attraction Elettra feels for Carlo, how it can just cloud everything. Your judgment, your perception of risk, especially when you're investigating someone potentially involved.
It's a massive risk. Elettra, who's usually so sharp, so objective, she's now deeply entangled personally.
Yeah.
With the nephew of the man who seems central to the whole thing. It makes her vulnerable. You know? manipulation, maybe seeing what she wants to see. It's that classic head versus heart conflict. But here the stakes are literally life and death.
And then, as if things weren't tense enough, nature intervenes.
Right. A massive storm hits Pellestrina, the Bora, this violent wind they get there. And Brunetti gets word. Elettra is on Spadini's boat with Spadini and Carlo.
Oh.
So he pushes Bonsoir, the pilot, to go after them, chase them through this absolutely treacherous weather. It's a desperate gamble.
A race against the storm and against time. But it ends in tragedy.
It does. Horribly. Their police boat crashes into debris thrown up by the storm, and Bonsoir, he's killed instantly, impaled by a piece of wood. Just like that.
God, that's awful.
It's brutal, a testament to how dangerous the lagoon itself can be. Brunetti's devastated, grieving, but it just fuels his determination. Now it's personal on another level. He has to get Spadini.
So he catches up eventually. What happens on Spadini's boat?
He does. And on Spadini's boat, it's chaos. Vittorio Spadini is furious. He knows Elettra's police, knows about Bottin's denunciation. He confronts Carlo, screaming betrayal. Then he turns on Elettra.
With the gutting knife.
With the gutting knife. Just like Marco Bottin. He lunges at her. But Carlo reacts.
Saves her.
He does. He jumps in, deflects the blow. It's heroic, really, considering everything. But in the confusion, Vittorio slips away, overboard into the storm.
He escapes into that sea.
He does. The lagoon that gives them life becomes his escape route. It's incredibly dramatic.
But he doesn't get away for good. What happens to him? And what about Elettra and Carlo after all that?
No, Spadini is caught later. But interestingly, he's interrogated, and apparently quite brutally, not by the official police, but by others, people within the community.
Handling it their own way.
Exactly. That raw, unofficial justice, again. It really underscores how deep that community code runs. Elettra, she's injured, shaken, taken to the hospital. But even after everything, her loyalty to Carlo, that connection, it seems to hold, despite his family, despite his past.
Wow. So let's try and pull this all together. You have these layers upon layers of betrayal. Giulio Bottin betraying the community code by informing. Carlo betraying his oath as a Guardia di Finanza officer. Vittorio betraying his own nephew, ready to kill him even. And it's all playing out against this backdrop of a community trying to protect itself, even violently, and maybe destroying its own environment in the process.
It's a profound unraveling, as you said. This deep dive really exposes the hidden violence, the corruption beneath that tranquil surface. Personal ties, money, tradition, survival, it all gets tangled up. Loyalty becomes dangerous. Truth is flexible. And justice. Well, it looks very different depending on whether you're inside or outside that community code.
So we've journeyed through this story of murder on Pellestrina. We started with this beautiful facade, but found these deep currents of secrets, crime, and incredibly fierce loyalties running underneath. We've really seen how one person's actions can send ripples through a whole community, haven't we? Exposing how personal lives, economic survival, and these unwritten laws all intersect and clash.
Absolutely. And it leaves you wondering, in a place like that, where family protects family, where making a living seems to justify environmental harm, where silence is valued more than the legal truth, what does it actually take to find out what really happened?
And maybe even more profoundly, when everyone seems connected, when the lines between victim and perpetrator get so blurred by shared secrets and shared ways of life, can justice, real justice, ever actually be served? Or is it always just about who comes out on top in that oldest fight, the fight for survival?